Well, hello there, real gamers. Retro Rob here, and welcome to Retro Rob Plays Everything. A while back, I did a video on the ROG Ally, and it was like right after the ROG Ally released. I didn't think too much of it, to be honest. I felt that the software that came with it, Armory Crate, was half-baked. I felt like the drivers weren't ready, the device itself wasn't ready, and after talking with some friends who also own the ROG Ally, I'm pretty sure that the one that I got was straight out defective. So I returned it and said, look, I'm going to give it another chance in the future. Take a look at it and maybe it'll get better. And friends told me, hey, it's gotten a lot better. You should take another look. So when I saw it on sale, like $200 off at Best Buy, I said, oh, I'm going to have to buy this. And so I told my wife, look, I'm going to waste more money. She's like, better count it off the taxes, dude. I'm like, I'll do that. And and we went to the counter, and I'm paying for it, and the salesperson at the counter says, hey, you know, we got the new ROG Ally X. It's got more memory. It's better. And I'm like, yeah, I don't need that. My wife's like, are you sure? Because you usually regret it when you don't buy, like, the better model of something. And I'm like, listen, wife, listen. I've been a gamer since I was, like, 10 years old. Probably younger. Probably, like, 6. I've been in IT for 25 years. I know what I want, and I will buy what I want. There's no convincing an expert at my level, I said. And so we bought it, and got about 5 steps out, and I said, you know what, darling, I think you're right. Yep. So we went back in, and I bought the ROG Ally X that I've got right here. This guy right here. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a look at the specs because there are some differences between this guy and the original. And then we're going to unbox it, and then I'm going to play some games and tell you what I think of it. What do you think of that? Good idea? Let's get going. All right, time for specs. The one on the left is the one that I have. The one on the right is the 2 terabyte version. If you have access to the 2 terabyte version of this device, just go get it. Spend the extra money right now. Just do it. Trust. I know you're thinking, oh no, a terabyte's enough. It's not enough on these devices. These are, even if your Steam Deck, you had a 1 terabyte Steam Deck and it was plenty, it's not going to be for this. Number one, you're going to be running bigger games because it can handle a little bit more. But number two, Windows OS takes up more room. So you're not going to have as much room for games. So just do the 2 terabyte. Just trust me on this. Don't be a Rob. Don't do what I did. All right, Windows 11 Home is the OS. That we've already kind of covered. Processor, AMD Ryzen Z1 Extreme processor. 8 cores, 16 threads through that. Hyper-threading. Is that what they call it on a AMD? Is it called hyper-thread? I'm an Intel guy. I work on servers, okay? I mean, it's not like, well, I used to work on servers before everything went virtual. But anyway, that makes you pretty Intel. Yeah, I know they made AMD servers, but nobody bought them. Anyway, that's not true either. Anyway, just in case you're not in IT, that's not true. Anyway, people did buy them. 5.10 gigahertz maximum speed on this processor. I'm going to tell you right now, nothing makes me feel older than looking at these specs. My first gaming machine with its smoking 3DFX video card, which had to stand by. I'm trying to remember what the other card I had. I had a really good 2D one, and you'd hook up the 3DFX through it. They'd like loop through each other. Anyway, what was I talking about? I was talking about the fact that was only 100 megahertz. That smoking fast machine. Anyway, AMD Radeon graphics. That's right, up to 2.7 gigahertz. Going down to the display, you got a 7-inch display. It is full HD, 1080, which means it's a pretty big jump above the Steam Deck. So You're not comparing apples to apples when you're comparing speeds, just so you know, because this has a higher output resolution. At least when it's on its, its own screen. It's glossy, not my favorite. It's IPS. Gorilla Glass. That is a big deal, actually. Believe it or not. I would definitely rather have real Gorilla Glass than knockoff. It just is way more scratch resistant in my experience. So pretty happy that it has the real stuff. 120 hertz refresh rate, which is pretty good. I think the latest Steam Deck's at 90 right now. Response time is 7 milliseconds. That is actually pretty high for a gaming device. I think this monitor right here is a 2 or a 1, and generally for gaming you use under 5. So there's something to note. Has FreeSync. That's common. Memory. Somebody in marketing, get on this, man. It's okay. So any other company would call this 24 gigs. It is 24 gigs in your device. It's going to show up as 24 gigs of RAM. They wanted to emphasize the fact that there are 2 banks of RAM on this, which that's actually good. That's good for your speed. It's a good thing. It's just that nobody else would display it like that. It's 24 gigs of RAM, so it's an improvement over the last one as far as RAM goes. Storage. Yeah, here's the big thing. 1 terabyte NVMe. It's a 2280. You know what that means? It's basically the same size as a modern laptop hard drive. And that makes it much easier to find inexpensive, high-speed storage for this. So some things to think about if you're thinking of swapping this out, because I now have some experience. Make sure you use at least the same speed or faster. You don't have to go a lot faster, because to be honest, it's probably not going to perform as well on reads and writes as like a gaming laptop's going to, but it's still going to give it a boost. You definitely do not want to go slower than what's in there. So keep an eye on that when you are ordering a hard drive for it. Number 2, when you pull out and replace the hard drive, don't forget to clone it first. Number 1, turn off BitLocker. Turn off BitLocker. It makes it much easier to copy things. You're not doing it manually, but it makes it easier for like cloning software to do it. Just do it. Some will do it, but just turn it off. Okay, just do it, and then turn it back on, because it is a big security. It's a big step forward in security, and it's not an amazing amount of overhead. But anyway, yeah, 2280. Oh, and one more thing before I let you go. Don't leave yet. Before I let you go, I gotta tell you this. After you replace it, plug the device in before you turn it on, because it has like a safety. Somebody in the comments on the last video told me it's got like a safety thing where it purposely turns it off. I thought it was just a weird bug, but it actually purposely makes it so that you gotta plug it in to turn it back on afterwards. So don't freak out. Don't freak out if you replace your hard drive and it doesn't turn on. Just plug it in. It'll be fine. I got a little bit of a guide on that. Anyway, I/O ports, not much to see here that's that special. Type C, see, two type. There's 2 Type C's in here at the top. Right now I got one plugged into video, one plugged into power. Has a micro SD card reader. Supposedly they've fixed the problems that they've had in the past. I don't care, because my hard drive's big enough, so I'm happy about that. Although it is nice if you want to transfer something. Anything else to say here? Not really. I think the rest of it is pretty boring stuff, other than the fact that it does have a gyro in it. Gyroscope. So you can pick it up and steer like this if you want. It comes in useful sometimes. Battery, 80 watt hours. All right, 65 watt AC power. We're done. That's it. That's specs. Let's unbox it and play. And here's the front of the box with this kind of cool effect. I mean, it's kind of, plain, but if you look, see, it's got that, what do they call, is that holographic effect? Is that Is that what they call it? I don't know. If you want accurate descriptions, go to a decent channel, you know? All right, now we're going to take a look at the back, but I'm going to do this. Hold on, I got to cover some data, and it's sideways, so let's swap that out. And there's the important data. Z1 Extreme processor, that's what you're paying the big bucks for. It's got 24 gigs of RAM, which I think is kind of interesting. It has got USB, wireless LAN, blah, blah, blah. Windows 11, of course. Nothing more to say except it's got that 1 terabyte hard drive in it, which is kind of a big deal. Let's open it up. All right, let's open her up. Sorry about the camera angle. There was some really, really bad design choices made on this particular tripod. And one of them is that you cannot twist right and left on the stand itself. And they made one of the legs jut straight out. So you cannot bring it up to a table like I could with my old one. That's annoying. Anyway, all right, here we go. Yeah, I totally cheated, by the way, and cut a little spot right there to open up with. I know somebody's going to call me out on it. You can't get away with nothing. Ugh, my goodness. Feel free to comment on what a wuss I am, I guess. Anyway. Big man hands. Weak little fingers. What am I going to do here? What do you think? I don't have any big fingernails. No, I don't. And this is not coming off. I don't think. Wait. It's like the worst ASMR video. Let's peel this off quietly. There we go. Big win. Big win. Other side, because there's 2 of them. Come on. Well, glad you're still with me. Well, I cracked me up. All right, top off. Oh, this is a lot more polish than the first version of this, I gotta say. Look at electric. Boogie, woogie, woogie, woogie. And here's the device itself. I don't know if you've seen one of these before. They're a little bit smaller than a Steam Deck. And a lot bigger than most of my handhelds. All right. Now, looks like it's got a tab here. Yep, I'm making a mess of this. Sorry. Some of you are going to complain about this, but oh well. There's literally a giant tab. Don't do what I did, folks. Don't do it. All right, so here we go. It's got light rings under the gamepad, under the analog sticks. Sorry. Got A, B, X, Y. You got a couple of, well, you got the select start buttons, which is what I'm always going to call them forever. You've got a couple menu buttons right here as well. I hear they've changed the functionality a whole lot since my review of the original model of the ROG Ally. So we'll see what we get with that. You got these nice analog sticks, which I've always liked. Bumpers, power, couple USB-Cs, which is always nice. Volume up, volume down. You got a TF card, headphone jack. It's always nice. On the bottom, it's clean. Right side is clean. Left side's clean. And then on the back, we got these nice little extra buttons, which I find super useful. I know the Steam Deck has a couple more of them below that. Is that true? Is that true? Am I lying? Hold on a second. Yeah, I'm telling the truth. See? They got a couple extra ones on the Steam Deck. Okay, that it doesn't have. Doesn't matter to me very much because I never used more than the 2. So that's not a big deal. All right. What else do we get in the package? USB-C charger. Branded. Thank you. And I guess this is a manual. Yep. Manual, warranty, insert. And I don't know if you noticed, but there's no case with this. So I'm gonna have to buy my own protective case. What a sad thing that is. But anyway, I'm gonna power it on, play with it for a while, and let you know what I think. Wow, that is like, you can really see in that screen.
A song about how the months pass by so fast when you buy a new handheld video game system. Much like how we all get older over time. A song about how the months pass by so fast when you buy a new handheld video game system. Much like how we all get older over time.
I would say the biggest improvement that I've seen since I first tried the Asus ROG Ally a year ago is Armory Crate. It has gone from 0 to hero on this device. I'm not kidding. I mean, it is a major improvement. Anyway, I'm going to bring it up by pressing the right menu button. There we go. And you can see that all the games that I have installed on all the platforms are sitting here in this all games section. See that? You can see I've got a couple games installed from Epic in here. And if I use my right trigger, I can go to any of the platforms that I have installed. Right there. And games installed through these platforms will of course show up in the all games section. Sometimes it takes a reboot, I find, but eventually they're going to show up there. There's also a favorite section if you'd like to set it. I don't use it because I swap out games pretty often. If I use the top right bumper, I can jump over here to this configuration gear. I don't use it very often. The only thing I'd use it for is the update center. I'll occasionally use that to update. There's the lighting system here. I've never had to calibrate jack on this thing. And that's a big improvement over the last device as well, which was, it was a mess. Basically though, I used this gear to add everything I could to this command center. And I've got everything put on there. I don't know if like by default they're doing this way now, but I've put everything that I can possibly put on this menu because it's great. And I'll show you that in a minute. All right, we've got the campaign center. This is where you can get yourself a deal on a kill switch. I still found it was super expensive even though I like it, but I ended up going cheaper. And they got a help center, you know, all this stuff. There's also, if you have a account, you can log in there. But right here, this is where if you record your screen or take a screenshot, this is where it shows up. That was a great sentence. Great. Anyway, there we go. There's the right menu button. Now let's hit the left menu button and take a look at this. This is the command center that I talked about earlier that I set up. And this is probably where you'll spend most of your time, I'm guessing. You can see that there is a brightness control, there's a volume control, You can power off safely from here. It's really pretty simple. You've got the performance modes. You just hit A and it'll flip through them. You got the control mode. You can force it to be a controller if you'd like. See? But auto, I don't think I've ever had it fail to pick the right one. You can set game profiles. This time they stick. Basically, I use this for setting what the back buttons do. And it's pretty easy to use. It still could use to be... It still could be a little bit more user-friendly, but I think it's pretty good. I'm going to say it's so much better than it used to be, since it actually saves the settings, that I'm not going to complain about it. I mean, I did a little bit, but no further. On-screen keyboard, if you want that to come up real quick, you don't have to remember a hotkey. You can just flip it up. See that? Nice. Information monitor. I am going to hit this just to show you that there's several different modes. If you don't see it, it's on the top right-hand side of the screen. It's tiny, but you can flip through 3 different modes. Look at that. I guess 4 if you want to count off. But if you want to know how many frames per second your game's running, there you go. You've got it right there. I don't care, honestly. You'll very seldom see me showing frames on games. If it plays smooth, that's what matters to me. I'm not that guy. Anyway, FPS limiter. If a game is running kind of skippy, you know, where it's like, it feels like it's kind of jerking ahead a little bit, you can set a frames per second target and it will sit there at it, which is good, and not go over, which is good if you're having that. Most of the time I find, I don't think I've ever had to use it, but I did used to use it on my last ROG Ally quite a bit. All right, show desktop, that's pretty obvious. Enable the controller, yes. All right, RSR, what that does is it will upscale a lower resolution to a higher resolution so that it looks cleaner. It's, you know, it works pretty good. That one I don't have a lot of problems with. It seems to be pretty nice. Refresh rate, you can set that. I almost always have it on 120. Can't think of any other reason. Any reason I would switch it, but hey, if you want it to be at 60, there you go. I'm guessing some older games might benefit from that. Anyway, I don't run a lot of old games on this. Resolution, that's pretty obvious too. You can set it to a lower resolution if you're having performance problems. It's another thing that I've never used on this one. I never set the resolution. The last one I was constantly flipping through it. All right, RIS. Whatever resolution you're at, this will make it look cleaner. This one I found it can be a little iffy, honestly. It'll make it look kind of blurry sometimes, and then it'll pick it up, and turning it off, I don't notice a frame rate difference, but it just looks clear. So be careful with using it. It may work really well. I found some games it works really well, and other ones, not so hot. Record screen, yes, it's got a built-in screen recorder, and it's quite good. Later on, you'll see I'm playing Warhammer, and I'm using this to record that screen. It's not super dupery, you know. I mean, you're always better off with an external capture device, but it does work. And it's not bad. It does add overhead though, just so you know. And brightness, and take screenshot, which you saw a screenshot earlier. All right, that's it with the menus. Really good, really slick. I'm very happy with the way this works. All right, this is Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 2. I want to apologize. Usually I don't do voiceovers. I usually like talk while I'm playing, but in this case I recorded it off the device, and for this video I'm going to be doing that, but in this case I recorded it directly off the device using the built-in capture software. and I think it worked out pretty well. It does slow the game down a little bit when you're doing it, but not unbearable. And again, the game doesn't play absolutely perfectly here, but it plays well enough that you're enjoying the game. You can see like it's not really like stuttering or anything like that. It's a little bit sluggish, but then again, honestly, on my gaming laptop, it's not the most, I don't know, high speed experience, highest frame experience. That's the word. It's not the highest frame experience. And I'm sorry that I did not turn on the frame rate monitor for this one. I forgot. I'm guessing it's probably running around 30. You can see when it's turning, there's just a little bit of a, a little bit of a ugh. Man, this level's hard too. I suffered for my art this time. Think I'm gonna die? I think I'm gonna die here. I recorded this a while ago, can't remember. Yep. Gonna be over. This game is UFO Robot Grendizer, and it is a great game. It plays okay on the ROG Ally. This one I spent most of my time playing on my laptop, but again, if I want to take it on the go, this is an okay way to do it. It's definitely not perfect. You can see that the frame rate is dropping below 30 on a pretty regular basis. But again, I mentioned earlier, this is not a particularly great optimized game. It's a particularly great game. It's just not great optimization in it. But it's definitely playable. It doesn't feel bad at all. But every once in a while you get that kind of jumpiness. And when I head over to this base, you'll kind of get the idea of that. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to let this go for a little bit while you see me get into this boss battle. We won't go through the whole boss battle because this is like, there's like 10 minutes of footage here, and we just don't want to do the whole thing.
Tremble at my name, Prince of the Stars. It is I, Lady Gandal, who will send you to your doom.
Prince Duke, you may have defeated our invading forces, but I will not let you sabotage our plans. This world will soon be ours, whether you like it or not.
Anti-gravity storm! Shoulder boomerang!
Alright, this game is Trail Out, and it is just a bear on handhelds. For whatever reason, it doesn't run on the Steam Deck. The Legion Go chokes on it, and the what was that, FSRR, just like it turns it into like an Atari game at points. But on here, it's running okay. I mean, it's glued to 30 frames per second. It is absolutely glued to those 30 frames, but it does play okay. It doesn't look amazing, to be honest. Like, I can definitely tell the graphics difference on this versus my laptop. But again, as I mentioned, it's a pig pretty much on anything. It just is. But it's a wonderful game. At the end here, I'm going to cover what the settings were that I had this at. But they are pretty low in this, and it definitely shows. There we go. Low to mediums, folks. All right, here we have Need for Speed Heat. Settings are on medium. And it looks pretty good, but there is a little bit of stutter in gameplay occasionally, which is kind of surprising considering this runs super well on the Steam Deck. But again, the Steam Deck settings are much lower. It's definitely a blast to play, though. I love this game. I really do. I'm not generally a fan of racing games that have anything open world in it at all. But this one, with it. And it feels fast. It just feels amazing. By the way, my driving here is terrible. Absolutely. Look at it, I'm all over the stinking road. But we're talking about how it looks and feels, and it does feel fine, and it looks good. I just suck. But no complaints here, as expected. Final lap, am I going to do better or am I going to choke? I'm going to choke. Remember this run. By the way, this one was recorded using external equipment. What do we have? 44, 45 FPS. It's kind of jumping around. Might be better to lock that in, I guess. That was a shortcut, I swear. Yeah, embarrassing. But game ran fine. All right, No Man's Sky, and I've got it pretty low here. Again, you know, No Man's Sky is another game that gives pretty much every system I put it on the hiccups. I played on Mac; it has some hiccups. I've played it on pretty much every handheld. They all seem to play it kind of iffy. You know, my laptop does a good job of running it. My gaming laptop does. But, again, you absolutely can play this game fine on this. I mean, if you wanted to, it looks better than the Nintendo Switch version, for sure. And, again, the game's fun to play. The controls work well. It's just you got to put up with a hiccup or a stutter every once in a while. And right here, I haven't played in a while. You can tell, like, I am just so crappy at it. But, yeah, let's fast forward just a little bit. And, yeah, you can see on the landing, you can see on the landing here. And, again, I'm probably not exactly in sync with how I cut the video, but you can see, like, there's a occasional stutter every once in a while, which makes it definitely an imperfect experience, even at these low settings, but I'm willing to forgive it. I'm doing a lot of forgiving, and again, the reason why I'm being very forgiving is the games that I threw at it for this video were some of the ones that I've experienced problems with in the past. I just wanted to see if I could run them okay. So we're going to do some games that are a little bit better running as well. But again, this really isn't that bad considering the trouble I've had on other handhelds with it and the way that it looks. So, you know. Watch how... Oh, I'm going to land and walk around a little bit. Which, will give you a little bit more of an idea of how it runs. I like dinosaurs. Dinosaurs are pretty cool. Come on. And then we'll wrap it up here. And here we have Star Wars Outlaws, and you can see it's pretty much set on low everything. But the good news is this game actually just looks pretty good anyway. It definitely looks good on the screen, maybe not as much, you know, enlarged in this gameplay, but again, when I'm playing it on the screen, it actually looks pretty good. Don't know how I feel about the game yet. I'm pretty early in. I don't mind all the climbing. It's like I don't know. It's like more adventure, less Star Warsy so far, and it's a lot of stealth. But at least it's nice looking. It feels Star Warsy. That's a plus. Anyway, how's it play on here? It's doing the high 20 frames per second. It's jumping around a little bit. Looking at the frames per second in the playback here, but it doesn't feel that way. It feels pretty smooth. No real complaints as far as how the gameplay is. There's a cool firefight at the end of this, by the way, and I like it quite a bit. But all in all, I think it looks good. I think it plays pretty well. Again, because of the smaller screen, you're not going to notice that some of the detail is a little bit missing versus playing it on a more high-end device. And again, just kind of fun. Kind of a fun game. And I'm going to let you just watch this in peace for a little bit while I
We need to stay out of sight.
go get myself killed.
I need to get their attention.
Fine, relax.
Nicest place we've ever robbed, huh?
All right, keep your guard up.
Nothing there. Something isn't feeling right. Need a new place to keep my credits.
Go get him. They're headed our way.
And here we have Superstar Shooter 16. I wanted to do some like weirder indie games just to see how it runs. This does run on the Steam Deck. It has some like weird resolution things that you gotta mess with in the menu. But on this device, it runs perfectly fine. No modification at all needed. So that's a good thing. My gameplay probably needs some work for sure. This is one of those games that's way easier to play on a big screen than it is on a small screen, but still, it's definitely fun to play on this device because the controls are pretty darn good on the Ally. Yeah, capture everything. So this is Super Star Shooter 16, and it runs pretty great. Here we have Danger Scavenger, cranked up to 11 in this case, and it looks and plays great. This does play okay on the Steam Deck with a couple of small compromises. Originally, I played this on the new Atari VCS, the one that came out a few years back, and it plays okay as well. But this looks downright ultimate. If you haven't played this game, by the way, it's a top-down dual-stick shooter, and it's really, really good. If you got yourself an Atari VCS, the new one I mean, it's got Atari logos in it in the background, which I think is pretty cool too. But there's lots of weapons here, and lots of different upgrades to get, and the game itself is actually quite a bit of fun. What am I doing here? Yeah, I'm not hacking anything. By the way, this is recorded using the built-in recording software. So, yeah. And here we have the second level of Zombies Ate My Neighbors. I wanted to see how the controls would work on these. Sometimes these little conversion games, they just wreak havoc on the controls on these devices. You can see it works just fine. I almost said pro tip. A tip, though, that I have is that you should definitely use the D-pad when playing this. The analog stick is a little bit, I think the word sticky is what I would use for the analog stick on this game, but it plays just fine with the D-pad. And again, it is a fun game. Highly recommend this game. Zombies Ate My Neighbors is great. It also includes Ghoul Patrol, which I don't think I've ever played on this channel. I should probably do that one of these days. And apologies, no frame rate on this one or the last one. I had the frame rate turned off while I was recording. But these are recorded directly off of the device itself as well, using the built-in recording tool. So that's nice. So is this game. Downright wonderful. Am I gonna finish this level sooner or later? Man. I am fighting with it. For sure. There we go. There we go. Alright, this is Dust and Neon. A tragically overlooked game, in my opinion. I think it's absolutely great. Should have got more coverage. So here it is. Coverage. This is my last game of the gameplays. And you can probably see why I like it. The art style is really good. I like the way it fuses like Old West with like a kind of a modern heavy outline theme. You can tell I'm not an artist, right? Right? But look at it. I mean, it's just a cool looking game in my opinion. So, you know, it's basically a dual stick shooter. The weaponry, of course, because it's like kind of an old school kind of gun game. You've got to keep an eye on your ammunition a lot more than you do in most games that are like this. I'm gonna go inside after a minute. Boy, I'm really putting this off. Really putting it off in this. Yeah, I think I go into the hotel too. Yeah, it's hard doing commentary after, you know? When you're playing, you got plenty to say about what's going on. When you're watching yourself play, what are you gonna do? And he dodges off to the left. You can see him, wait, me, running up the stairs and grabbing ammunition out of the ammunition boxes. Look at that, it's a dash of torture. He ignores that and then moves on to heal himself. Thank goodness there's an arrow telling him where to go, otherwise he never would have figured it out because he's kind of slow. Also talking about myself in third person, which is kind of creepy. Kind of creepy. You should not talk about yourself in third person. Just saying. Don't do it. Some good commentary, right? Solid. Another thing about this game, you notice how I'm like ducking and covering? You do more of that than you do in the average dual stick shooter. But again, I'm not playing this game quite right in this recording. I'm not doing a great job. Not at all. So what I'm supposed to do is take these power stations offline. And instead I'm walking around picking stuff up. So how's the weather out by you? Yeah? Doing okay? How are the kids? Kids good? Yeah? Kids are good? It's good. How about that mold? Did you get that mold checked out? What did they say about that, huh? No? Nothing about the mold. Yeah. Alright, so anyway, here I am shooting. This game, fortunately, gives you some context clues or graphical hints to let you know what you're supposed to be doing there. Like arrows pointing towards it is very useful. Very useful. There we go. They're both down. And I have taken out the first of the stations. And this is going to be it for the gameplay portion. I think we are going to wrap things up and give this thing a verdict. I'm going to mention about why I don't mention battery life. Battery life does seem to be improved in the ROG Ally X over the original ROG Ally. In fact, it's pretty much in line with the Steam Deck as far as I can tell now. The problem with doing these things is, depending on your settings, what game you're playing, there is a really, really serious difference in how long a battery can last. Like, you know, if you play Balatro, for crying out loud, you might be able to play hours. If you're playing Star Wars Outlaws, however, maybe an hour and a half. Parting thoughts on the ROG Ally X, and boy do I ever have a lot of them. First things first, I want to talk about the controls and how big of an improvement this is over the handheld I played with last year. I didn't calibrate them. I don't set anything. I just play games with these, and they work. They work well. They're accurate. They're I guess the term unremarkable comes to mind. I don't think about them. The only thing I ever do is program these two back buttons, and I haven't had to do anything else. Yay. That's exactly how it should be. Shouldn't be messing with the controls all the time. They work well. Very good job. Second thing I'm going to talk about is Armory Crate. It is a night and day difference. It's hard to believe they've come this far in 1 year. It works really well. It's not 100% perfect. I'm willing to see that. Sometimes it doesn't boot into Armory Crate. Sometimes it'll, just act weird and load a game in the background. But for the most part, it works pretty flawlessly. And I've got no complaints about it. It's feature rich. I'm happy with the way that they've worked out the button layout on this. It's all really good. Yeah, nice. I mean, again, still could use some polish, but I'm not complaining at all about it. The screen looks really nice. Glad they used Gorilla Glass. I've been using this for at least 3 months now. And no problems with scratches on the screen or anything, even though I haven't been particularly careful with it. I did buy a case for it, which it doesn't come with. The Steam Deck comes with a case. If you don't know, the Steam Deck comes with a case, so that's just a There, that's all I can complain about. But anyway, but all in all, nice bright screen, looks good. I don't even run on full brightness most of the time. Just looks nice. Yeah. The sound out of the speakers is okay. I mean, it's, you know, it's not super bass or anything, but it's acceptable, and it gets moderately loud. I like that. And in-game performance is acceptable. If you are a person who has to run 120 frames maxed out, these handhelds aren't going to do it. But if you want a great way to play your favorite games on the go, and you know the Steam Deck's limitations put you off, this is definitely a great choice to play those games mobily with mobility. Anyway, thumbs up. I'm absolutely not gonna get rid of this thing. I like it too much. It hasn't really. I still play the Steam Deck probably more than this, but anytime there's a game that's not performing on the Steam Deck very well, I'll throw it over to this and it'll generally run pretty good. So, most improved device ever. I mean, I realize this is a slightly different device, but still, Armory Crate's changed for every one of these devices. So yeah, absolutely great. Love it. Anyway, if you love this video, do me a big favor. Give me a thumbs up, subscribe for more, and I'll see you in a couple days. Bye.
Cartridge clicked in like a flash of lightning. Buttons tapping, memories, oh so inviting. Screen flickers life in a pixel parade. Time disappears in this handheld charade. Minutes turn to hours, the clock can't wait. Worlds in my pocket, escape my fate. Every level passed is another day gone. Growing older, pressing start to carry on. Adventure unfolds in a technicolor view. Lost in the glow, time slipping to joystick dreams in a digital stream. Reality and age blur like a fading beam. Adventure unfolds in a technicolor view. Lost in the glow, time slipping to joystick dreams in a digital stream. Reality and age blur like a fading beam. Minutes turn to hours, the clock can't wait. Worlds in my pocket, escape my fate. Every level passed is another day gone. Growing older, pressing start to carry on. Boss fights and birthdays come so quick. Loved ones and levels blur and click. Memories saved in game's final state. In some parts of life you can't replay, mate. Now the screen dims, battery running low. Age is the save file, time ceaseless flow. Though the game's over, the story remains in cartridge and hearts, etched by joy and pain. Now the screen dims, battery running low. Age is the save file, time ceaseless flow. And though the game's over, the story remains in cartridge and hearts, etched by joy and pain.